Today's discussion is going to be on how to improve your performance around the basic tests that you do. So the push-up test, the sit-up test. We're going to talk theory. You'll find my theory is going to be very simple on the mile and a half or the mile and a half run. I don't make it very complicated. It's very simple. But what we're going to talk about is just getting through that run and understanding how to get from point A to point B in the right amount of time. The simplest way is using a run-walk formula. Run as much as you can, walk to recover, and then pick up the run again. And what you'll notice is that over time, you'll be able to run farther. Obviously, if you're running, let's say at 7 miles per hour, you're moving at an okay clip. Walking is going to be about half of that, about 3.5 miles per hour. So you're going to cover twice as much distance in the same amount of time with running as you are with walking. So the goal would be that eventually we can take these little blocks of walking and shorten those, take the blocks of running and lengthen those, and maybe we have 3 walking blocks through our mile and a half. Those 3 walking blocks that used to take us 4 minutes, now will take us 2 minutes. So now that 2 minutes of run time is actually twice as far as it was walk time, and eventually those times come down, and down, and down, and down. Now that's the really simple explanation. Cover your mile and a half. Don't go out and run 4 miles. I talked to a lot of cross-country coaches in high school who want their kids, the races just over 2 miles long. They want them to go out and run 4 and 5 miles. Well, how does that make any sense? It's like saying, all right, you're going to go play soccer, but instead of playing a 110-meter long field, today you're going to play on a 330-yard long field, and it's going to be 225 meters wide. Is that soccer? It's going to be a completely different game to them. So when you talk about running, it's the same thing. If your goal is to run a mile and a half, those of you that can withstand high levels of lactate can run really fast because your body can tolerate that. But if you're training to go slow, so now you're running 4 miles, your body can't do that for 4 miles, so it has to down-regulate, it has to decrease your speed, so you can maintain that pace over 4 miles. Well, you don't need 4 miles worth of pace. You need a mile and a half worth of pace. So that's why I say don't go out and run more than a mile and a half. Take your car, take your bike. You have one of those fancy measuring sticks. Take one of those to figure out where around your house is a mile and a half. Do half or 3/4 of a mile out and 3/4 of a mile back. Hopefully, if you do 3/4 of a mile out, you don't have to measure back, right? But find a track that's a mile and a half and train on it. Go out every other day and run walk until you start to increase or better your time. That's going to be incredibly helpful to you to be able to cover that distance. Now, there are some tips, obviously. You know, when you're running, we want to make sure we have good footwear. We want to make sure that we're running with reasonable mechanics. So one of the things our runners performance people here talk a lot about, they work in that room up there is actually a 12 camera infrared motion analysis system, as well as a treadmill that has force plates built into it and all this fancy stuff. But it really comes down to, you want to be able to run and use good mechanics and maintain those mechanics. One of the things that our sports performance runners performance evaluation people are working on is this thing called cadence. Just like our sit-ups, believe it or not. So we know that one of the biggest factors that makes you work harder is when you're running, how much bobbing up and down are you doing? When you're running and I'm looking at you from behind and you're doing this, that's probably excessive. Now what that ends up doing is that bobbing up and down, just like if you were to stand up on that box and jump off that box, are you going to hit the ground with more force or less force than if you jumped off that box? More force. So the more bobbing you do, your foot is hitting the ground with more force, so your body has to produce more force to break it, otherwise you're going to fall. And then as your body produces more force, you become more tired. And also your injury risk goes way up. So you want to minimize how much of this you do. Well, what creates this? Same idea. If I asked you to jump from here to here, how much vertical would you have to displace? not as much as if I asked you to jump to here, or nearly as much as if I asked you to jump to here. So the distance that you cover is going to dictate this parabolic trajectory. And it's all predicated on this thing called gravity. You guys heard of that, right? In the Air Force, gravity has a pretty big component, isn't it? Well, gravity's going to pull you back to the ground. So if I have to go farther out, I've got to go higher up to go farther out. So what I'm talking about in running is something called stride length. Okay, stride length. The farther my strides are, the higher I've got to deviate my center of mass to come back to the ground. So while as a sprinter, some of the things we oftentimes work on are building stride length, as a distance runner, one of the most important things you can work on is actually modifying or mitigating stride length in favor of stride frequency. So it's not about how far do I go, but it's about how quick do my feet get off the ground. Because what that's going to do is it's going to take deviations like this and turn them into this. And now I'm an efficient runner. So let's just listen to what kind of the average stride frequency would be for your right foot. This is an average. And if you're thinking, is right foot different than left? No, I just pick right. They're both the same. If you have 10 more strides in your right than your left, then you're running really weird. All right, so this is your right foot. This is the stride frequency of your right foot. Think about it, as you're running, right foot. Hit it, every beat. So for some of you, this may seem really fast. This can deviate up to about this fast. Right foot only. This is right foot. This is what it sounds like when you're doing both feet. This is going to be right, left, right, left. When I'm running, steady state, where should my foot be striking the ground? The heel, mid, or the ball? Probably more mid-foot. Think of it this way. When I walk, it's a progression. It's kind of cool. When I walk, what do I strike with? Well, a normal gait pattern is heel to toe, right? When I'm steady state running, or kind of middle range running, now my heel isn't striking first, or at least it shouldn't be. I'm striking the midfoot as I run. When I sprint, now what am I striking? It's all ball of foot. If you're striking midfoot and you're a sprinter, you're slow. Your career as a sprinter is over. So it's that progression. Walk, heel, run midfoot, sprint, ball. So think of it that way as you go. And the nice thing about this tempo is it makes you shorten up your stride so you can't overstride and get a big heel strike, which minimizes ground reaction forces, helps improve efficiency, the whole cascade effect that we just talked about, right? It's all pretty cool stuff. So, how are you going to run your mile and a half faster? Well, you're going to go out and you're going to practice your mile and a half run, and you're going to practice it on a frequency, I'll send this to you, every other day, and you're going to practice running it faster than last. Now, if one day you're sick or you're injured and you can't quite beat the previous day, that's okay. Just beat it again the next day. Your goal every time you go out is to win that day, with the goal of eventually getting to your goal number and then surpassing it. The easiest way for you to do that is to be consistent with it, to use some of this tempo training kind of concept, and minimize how much you're walking, maximize how much you're running, and doing it on a consistent basis.